you know, working around the shop, this piece of wood has been sitting here for probably more than a year. I apparently drilled through a Forstner bit a hole in there, but never really did anything with it. It looks like it was an old piece of pallet. So I figured I would put it on the lathe to turn it to make a container for some of my my drawing pens, but the center doesn't quite fit on there. As a matter of fact, the largest one I have, I just cut it too big on the Forstner, and I could use a jam chuck or something like that. So what I did is I went over to the Barracuda chuck system that I have, and the primary one was just really too big, so I used what's called the pin chuck, and it's much smaller and it fits on there with no problem. So I should be able to go ahead and chuck that into the lathe and turn a simple little container for my pens for drawing.
So it's a pretty traditional setup. I'm just going to go ahead and put the Barracuda chuck in there, and I'll put the stock between the live center and basically do a traditional turning. I'm just going to make a little cup to put some of my drawing pencils in. But as I'm turning this is where the debate comes in. As you see, what I was using is what I call the piece of pallet wood. I had found an oak pallet, and this was a cut-off of another project I was doing. But the debate is that my father, after watching my video, says, Chris, you really should get away from using the term pallet wood. Pallets have a negative connotation. Pallet wood is a bad thing, a negative thing. You should use the terms like recycled or reclaimed lumber. And I said things like upcycle. He hadn't heard of that, but he's saying you should never use the term pallet wood. But yet, for me, I think it's a positive thing. A pallet wood desk, a pallet wood coffee table. It's very, very popular now. So should I continue to use the word pallet wood or recycled lumber or reclaimed lumber? Or does it not really matter? I'm just curious of what your opinions are. What you see here is a little beading chisel that I like to use, and it gives a nice even rounded bead. I'm going to clean that up with the cutoff chisel and make it all nice and neat. The only thing is to define the two beads there, I'm going to use a wire that I like to use, and once I sand it down a little bit, I'm going to get that wire and burn it in a nice slot to make it really defined. And it does smoke up when you do it, but use a steel wire and it'll leave a nice defining mark there for you. Alright, so I'm just doing a simple finish here with some Danish oil, and I poured it in, it kind of leaking out of those nail holes because it is pallet wood, or whatever you want to call it. So after I got done that, I let it dry for a few hours, and I hit it with a little spray lacquer. So all in all, I think it came out pretty good, whether you want to call it pallet wood or reclaimed lumber. You know, leave your opinions and comments down below. I'd be interested to see what people think. So thanks for watching. Again, this is Chris Demetrick from TDW Woodworks, and you have yourself a great day and get that woodworking.